Close your eyes. Now imagine you're a newborn. But not today. Not in a hospital. You're born in a one-room hut. There's a goat in the corner, a midwife named, and a surprisingly casual discussion about putting you in the oven. Not to cook you. No. Just to strengthen your bones. This is fine. This is Culture. In tonight's episode of We Tried Our Best, we explore the many quiet, bewildering ways different cultures welcome their babies into the world. With soot, salt, singing, kneading, smoking, and yes, ovens. Because for centuries, people didn't have science. They had superstition, herbs, and let's begin. You are a newborn. You don't know much, not yet. You know warmth and sound, and the way your mother's voice vibrates gently through the world when she breathes. That is all. You do not know the century. You do not know the country. You do not know the strange conversation happening in the next room, where two old women are arguing about firewood. But I'll tell you. It's Ukraine, somewhere near Poltava. A long time ago, or maybe not that long, depending on who you ask. And you, little bundle of limbs and confusion, have just been selected for a most curious tradition. Or you are going into the oven. Yes, the oven. Now. Before you panic, and there's really no need to panic, since you're barely capable of moving your own thumb. Let me explain. This is not a cooking situation. There is no butter involved, no rosemary, no seasoning of any kind. This is an old ritual, a rural wellness technique, if you like, a form of thermal encouragement. Your bones, you see, are soft, far too soft, like boiled millet. And in this region, softness is not a trait one celebrates. It is corrected with heat. The old woman, your grandmother, and her sister probably are discussing the temperature of the pitch, the large clay oven that dominates the back of the one-room house. It is still warm from baking bread that morning. The coals have gone grey. The bricks are hot to the touch, but not scalding. It is, according to your grandmother, the perfect condition for bone-strengthening. Your mother doesn't argue. She's tired. Her body is still sore from bringing you into the world with nothing but boiled water, vodka, and folk songs, but she agrees. Not because she believes it, though maybe she does, but because her own mother once placed her in this very oven, just as she had been placed in it by hers. So the chain continues. They wrap you tighter than you thought possible. Linen and wool, old cloths and embroidered swaddles that have seen dozens of births. You are packed up like a loaf of bread, heading to a nobleman's table. Outside, the wind howls. Inside, the air is thick with the smell of herbs, smoke, and something else, something ancestral, something you won't remember, but will carry forever in the back of your spine. The fire is gone. Just the warmth remains. Your grandmother opens the cast iron door. She reaches in first with her hand, testing the surface. Nods. It's good, she says. The child will take the heat. And with almost surprising tenderness, you are placed inside. You lie there, completely still, in the hollow of the oven. Above you, soot stains curve like ancient constellations. The walls are warm, the space is dark and echoing. You can hear your mother singing now. Not a lullaby, exactly something older, something round and wordless. A melody that moves like water in a bucket. Your grandmother sits nearby, cracking sunflower seeds with her molars and murmuring half prayers, half medical advice. The bones, she says, need to seal, like clay, like bricks, otherwise, heal, grow soft, fall in love too easily, cry at weddings, be useless in winter. You don't know what any of that means. You are, again, one day old, but your body is listening, absorbing heat, memory, mystery. After a time 10 minutes, maybe 20, depending on the superstition, they take you out, slowly, carefully. Your cheeks are pink, your skin, warm to the touch. You do not cry. This is a good sign. The fire accepted him. Your grandmother says. Your mother exhales for the first time since sunrise. Later, They will place garlic near your pillow and hang a red ribbon above the window. They will spit over your head 3 times to ward off envy. They will bathe you in lukewarm water, mixed with crushed chamomile and bits of iron just in case a spirit is watching. But nothing, truly nothing, is considered as foundational as what just happened. The oven has done its part, and so have you. No one writes it down, but the story will live in whispers. A child who took the heat well, who did not cry, whose bones, from that day forward, were no longer soft. Some say this never really happened, that it's just old women's tales, that babies should never, ever be placed in warm ovens under any circumstances, and they're probably right. But in the villages, if you ask quietly, if you listen between the sighs of the elderly, you might still hear it. You know, back then, we had no doctors, only fire and grandma, and the will to keep the child from falling apart. No one ever asked the baby. But that's tradition. And so you sleep. Warm, baked, unbroken. You were born in a time before reason. And raised in one, where reason was still warming up. You are a newborn again, not the same one as before. No. That child was Ukrainian, lightly roasted, and has since moved on to stronger bones and even stronger superstitions. You, now, are Finnish. It is the 1950s, or maybe the 1980s, or even the 2010s. In Finland, tradition is quiet and long-lived, like a pine forest in winter. Time folds here like soft linen. And you, tiny, blinking, wrapped in muted colors, are about to be placed in a box, a cardboard box. It has a mattress inside, and a tiny blanket, and maybe a cheerful illustration of a smiling bear holding a fish. The bear does not judge you. The bear has seen things. Your mother is calm. Your father is quiet, Finnish quiet, not the anxious silence of cities or the irritated stillness of elevators. This is ancestral silence. Deep as a frozen lake. On the kitchen table lies the maternity package, the Hearth, issued by the state, containing everything a newborn might need: socks, nail clippers, diapers, a tiny thermometer that will never leave the kitchen drawer. And, of course, the box itself. Not just a box, a crib. This started back in 1938, when Finland was poor, rural, and heartbreakingly cold. The government wanted to lower infant mortality rates. Babies were dying, not from monsters, or curses, or weak bones, but from cold, hunger, and bad mattresses. So they gave the people boxes, with things inside, and a mattress at the bottom, so the baby could sleep in it. Some families already had cribs, but many didn't, and the box was clean, new, flat, reliable, symbolic. Sleeping in a box wasn't seen as shameful. It was seen as equality. In a country where winters stretch for 6 months and smiles are considered a form of intimacy, this was warmth, systematized, standardized, state-issued love. So here you are. The window is frosted. The air outside is full of light and stillness. Inside, your mother gently places you into the box. She has not read a dozen parenting books. She does not follow 7 Instagram accounts about baby sleep rhythms. She has the box, and a knitted hat from her aunt, and silence. And that is enough. You don't cry. The box fits you perfectly. Not too big, not too soft. Just a rectangle of compressed tree pulp, cradling you like modernity itself. Years from now, people from other countries will hear about this and be mildly horrified. A box, they'll gasp, and Finnish parents will blink slowly and say, yes, it works, because it does. In 2013, when British newspapers first discovered this tradition, they wrote about it as if Finland had unearthed some pagan ritual from an Arctic cave. Babies in boxes, the headlines screamed, but Finland just smiled, internally. Of course. By then, over 3 million babies had started life in that square cocoon. Even today, over 95% of Finnish mothers choose the box over the cash option, because it isn't just about the mattress, or the socks, or the vitamin D drops. It's about starting life equal, whether you are the child of a professor in Helsinki, or a farmer in the woods of Lapland. You sleep in the same container. Level 1. Blank page. No mobile above your head. No hand-carved cradle. Just cardboard, kindness, and a sense that the world, however cold, has made room for you. And so you sleep. No oven. No garlic. No whispers about bones. Just the quiet breath of your mother. The sturdy Finnish floor, and the slow understanding that, here, in this corner of the world, bureaucracy once saved babies. You are not the center of the world. You are not divine. You are contained, lovingly. Which, in Finland, is just about the highest form of affection there is. Sleep tight. Tomorrow, they'll show you snow. And maybe, if you're lucky, the bear on the box will smile just a little more. You are a baby again, but now, you are a baby in South India, somewhere near Karnataka, or maybe Tamil Nadu. The year, it doesn't matter. It could be 1623. It could be 2023, because in this story, time is slippery, slippery like your skin right now, because you, little one, are covered in oil. Not motor oil, not coconut suntan lotion from a beach trip. This is sesame oil, cold-pressed, golden, smelling slightly like roasted nuts, and a hint of ancient rituals. The hands rubbing it into your arms belong to your grandmother, or your mother, or the neighbor who wandered in without knocking. That happens a lot here. You are not asked if you want this, but they hum as they work, and you feel warm, like a well-polished mango seed. This is your daily oil massage, or, as it's known in Sanskrit, abhyanga. In South Asia, it's believed this practice removes toxins, builds strength, improves blood circulation, sharpens the mind, protects from the evil eye, and possibly, just maybe, gives you slightly above average math skills. Some historians trace it back over 2,000 years. Ayurvedic texts from the time of Charaka describe infant massage as essential, like milk, or breath, or a lullaby that never ends. You are not a separate being here. You are part of something larger. An ecosystem of skin, spirit, and sesame. And so, each morning, before the sun gets high, they warm the oil in a clay bowl. Not too hot, not too cool, just mother-temperature. Then they begin. Forehead to toes, palms, soreless, ears, belly. Special attention is paid to the soft spot on your head, the fontanelle, the place where, it is believed, wisdom waits to enter. You are slick. You are glistening. You are impossible to hold without slipping slightly. This is part of the magic. After the massage, they let you lie on a flat stone or on banana leaves in the sun. A small puddle of oil forms beneath you. You look like a miniature sun god resting between worshippers. Sometimes, they draw little black dots of chyle near your eyes to ward off spirits who might be jealous of your cuteness. Other times, they whisper mantras into your ears, as if planting thoughts before you learn to think. This is your morning, but there is another ritual, one that happens only once, and its single quote says ... dramatic. When you are about 3 months old, or 6, depending on the region, they will take you to a temple. Not just any temple, a tall one, with stairs, with a roof. And from that roof, they will throw you off. Yes, throw you into a blanket, held by 5 to 10 men, who are hopefully awake and sober. It's called the baby toss. In some areas of Karnataka and Maharashtra, this ritual was performed for centuries. A prayer for good health, a celebration of trust, a symbolic leap into life's uncertainty. The child is tossed, the crowd gasps, the blanket bounces, and everyone applauds. You don't remember this, but they do. They tell the story every year. Your uncle says you flew like a bird. Your aunt says you screamed like a goat. Your grandmother says you were silent, and that silence means bravery. Historians have debated this practice for years. Is it real? Is it exaggerated? Did the British outlaw it during colonial rule? Yes. Did it come back? Also yes. Was it banned again? Yes. Do people still do it quietly in some temples? You didn't hear that from me. But what matters is this. You were caught. You were safe. You landed in cloth, in arms, in air made sacred by your tiny flight. And so you return home, wrapped in fresh cloth, still glowing faintly from the oil. Your body remembers the sky. Your skin remembers the stone. And your family remembers to keep the jar of sesame oil full. You are not afraid. You are not confused. You are 3 months old, and already you've been massaged, sung to, and tossed off a temple. You sleep well that night. The warm smell of oil still clinging to your scalp. And somewhere in your tiny mind, you begin to understand. This world is strange, but it catches you. And that is enough. You are a baby, again, but this time the earth beneath you is red. The wind is dry. And the drums in the distance don't stop. They only change their rhythm. You have just been born in a small rural community somewhere in East Africa, perhaps Uganda, perhaps Ethiopia, perhaps a place no map ever quite agreed on. There is no electricity here, no hospital, no doctor in a white coat. But there is your grandmother, and she has seen 1,000 births, and more importantly, she's listened. Because in this place, a baby's cry is not simply a cry. It is a message, a warning, a prophecy, or a problem. And the one who cries too much, well, they must be fixed, not punished, not hurt, just adjusted by someone who knows what's wrong. And so you, tiny wrinkled creature of milk and sleep, begin to wail. It is the 3rd night in a row. Your mother is exhausted. Your grandmother is concerned. Your father is sharpening a small blade. No one is angry. No one is shouting. But a decision has been made. You are about to undergo ebino. The removal of your false teeth. Double quotes. Wait. You have no teeth. Exactly. But that's the point. In some East African traditions, babies who cry excessively, who run mysterious fevers, who refuse to nurse or sleep, are believed to suffer from false teeth, small hard swellings on the gums, which, according to local belief, cause illness, pain, and even death. These are not recognized by modern medicine. Western doctors call them normal teething buds. But here, they are a threat, and threats must be removed. So your father dips the tip of the blade in ash and herbal powder. Your grandmother holds you firmly, lovingly, even. There is chanting, there is prayer, and then there is cutting. They pierce your gums. They scoop out the little hard buds. Sometimes with a rusty spoon, sometimes with a nail, sometimes with just a sharpened stick and good intentions. You scream, then fall silent, and the silence is taken as a sign. The evil is gone. Now, wait. Take a breath. This isn't about judgment. It's not about cruelty. It's about context. In regions where there is no access to doctors, where diarrhea and fevers kill infants in days, traditions rise out of fear and love interwoven. Ebino is a ritual of desperation, a way to act when no other help is coming, a way to take control when the child won't stop crying and the spirits are silent. It's been happening for generations. Still happens, even now, though quietly. Despite public health campaigns, despite education, despite consequences, because fear is stronger than a pamphlet, and love, even clumsy, painful love, is stronger than logic. Later, when you grow older, your teeth will come in strangely. A few will be missing, some will be crooked. And your mother will tell you the story. You cried too much. We saved you. Maybe they did. Maybe you would have been fine. Maybe you were already fine. But in their eyes, they acted. They protected you with herbs and ash. And the only knowledge they had. And so you sleep, with blood on your tongue and blessings on your forehead. The fire crackles. Outside, the wind sings, and inside, An old woman whispers over your head, now he will be quiet. And you are, for now dot and the world, raw and beautiful and full of contradictions, holds you, even as it cuts, because here, pain and love sometimes wear the same face, and that is tradition. You are a baby, once again, but now you are in England. Not the England of tea and television, not the England of trains and tubes. This is medieval England. The year is somewhere around 1286. The king's name doesn't matter. He will die of dysentery. Everyone does. You, however, have just entered the world. Congratulations. You are immediately cold. And immediately considered fragile. Not fragile in the sweet way people say now. Not the look how delicate kind of fragile. No. You are a sack of unpredictable limbs, strange noises, and far too much potential for flopping. And so, you must be dealt with. Efficiently. A long strip of linen is already waiting for you. It's called a swaddling band, and it has one purpose, to make you still. You are not asked. You are simply wrapped. And wrapped. Your arms are pinned to your sides. Your legs straightened unnaturally. Your feet point downward, like a goose ready for roasting. Your entire body becomes a cylinder, a human scroll, a small, mute, fabric-wrapped tube of silence. Only your face remains free, just your blinking, stunned little face, peeking out like a radish from a napkin. You will remain this way. 4 hours, sometimes days, if the weather is nice. If the rats don't get curious. If the maid remembers you exist. In medieval England, swaddling was not optional. It was considered essential. People believed that movement was dangerous, that limbs would grow crooked, that free babies became malformed adults, and so, they fixed that. By immobilizing you. Completely. The church approved. Midwives insisted. Even Shakespeare would later refer to swaddled infants as a sign of proper upbringing. You are not a creature, you are a loaf, and loaves must be shaped before they rise. The bandages are tightened, checked, tucked. You lie in your crib, a wooden box filled with straw, or feathers, or occasionally nothing at all. Sometimes, you are hung from a beam, like meat, to keep you away from vermin, or men. You do not cry. Not because you are content, but because there is no point. Your world is linen. Your muscles do not exist. You will not stretch for weeks. And yet, people say this is good, very good. Because you are peaceful. And peaceful babies do not cause suspicion or sin. A priest once wrote that children who move too much are more likely to be possessed. So, naturally, the safest baby is a baby that does not move. Parents hang garlic above your cradle, not to protect you, but to keep something from entering. You are protected. From demons. From movement. From yourself. Historians would later find records of infants left in swaddling for 2 days straight without being unwrapped. No changing, no cleaning, no airing of the skin, only prayer and cloth, and the belief that this was mercy. By the time you're 3 months old, you'll be partially unwrapped. Your mother will smile at your little hand, as if seeing it for the first time, and you will wave it weakly. Not out of joy, but because it remembers what it is. Eventually, you will crawl, you will walk, you will grow, and you will never know why your shoulders ache on rainy days. But we do. You are bound. For safety, for symmetry, for salvation, you were loved. In the way people knew how to love then. And so you sleep. Still, silent, straight as truth, wrapped in good intentions and very bad science. Because this was care. Because this was knowledge. Because this was England. You are a baby, again, but this time you were born in Japan, maybe in a quiet house in Kyoto, in the year 1673, maybe in a Tokyo apartment in 1958, maybe in a tatami room above a fish shop in 2012. The year doesn't matter so much, because here, the tradition sleeps next to you, literally. The first thing you notice, once your eyes begin to focus, is that you are never alone, not for a minute, not for a second. There is always someone next to you, a mother, a father, a grandmother, sometimes even the family cat. And they're not watching you from afar. They're not checking in from the other room. They are there, lying beside you, breathing beside you, forming a strange, warm, living futon fort. This is called Kawa no Ji, the river character formation. Picture the kanji, 3 vertical strokes. That's the sleeping arrangement. Adult, child, adult. You are the middle line, the river. Flowing between parents or siblings or whichever loving bodies happen to be closest at night. You are wrapped in a soft cloth. No swaddling, just enough to feel held. The air is warm from body heat. The ceiling is made of wood. There is no plastic. Here, no blinking lights, just the faint scent of steamed rice, sandalwood, and history. You sleep on the floor, but it doesn't feel low, because love lies level in this house. Everything touches everything. Shoji doors slide quietly. The world respects your dreaming. This sleeping arrangement is not seen as dangerous. It is seen as necessary. In Japan, for centuries, co-sleeping was the norm, not the exception. Not a debate. It was how babies grew calm, how mothers stayed sane, how families remembered they were families. There are scrolls from the Edo period showing families asleep in rows. Poems about mothers waking up just to watch their babies breathe. And in many homes, even today, the tradition lives on, sometimes by choice, sometimes by necessity. In tiny apartments, where space is rare, people learn to stack time together. One room becomes bedroom, living room, memory room. And you, little one, are never more than 6 inches from comfort. Your father snores softly. Your mother shifts in her sleep, one hand still touching your belly. You feel her even when you don't. Feel her. That's the point. Sometimes, someone sings. Not loudly, not theatrically. Just a few hummed notes between dreams. Sometimes there's a heater, sometimes not. But the heat comes from breath and trust and the weight of familiarity. You do not cry for long here, because to cry is to echo, and to echo is to wake everyone. And no one wants that. So you learn silence, you learn rhythm. You learn that you are not a separate planet. You are part of a constellation, a quiet, pulsing galaxy of relatives and futon layers. Eventually, you grow older. You'll move to a small mat of your own, still nearby, just a bit further downstream on the river. And one day, maybe, you'll move into a room with a door, maybe even a bed, but the memory of warmth will stay in your bones, in the part of your mind that thinks in smells and muscle. And one day, when your own child is born, you might lie beside them, just for a night, just to feel that echo again, and they will sleep safe, centered, held by the character, because here in Japan, a baby is not placed away, they are placed between, and there they learn to float. You are a baby again, but this time the cold is not a punishment. It is a lifestyle. You have just been born somewhere in the north, Norway, perhaps, or Sweden, or the flatter parts of Finland, where the reindeer still outnumber the people. The sky is pale, like washed linen. The light comes early, or late, or not at all, depending on the month. And you, tiny frost-kissed bundle, have just finished nursing. You are full, you are warm, you are sleepy. So naturally, they put you outside. Yes, outside. In your stroller, in your onesie, under several layers of wool, sheepskin, polar fleece, and knitted things made by hands older than memory. You are placed on the porch, or under a tree, or next to a snowbank. And then they shut the door. No one watches through the window. No one hovers. You are alone, in the cold, in the snow. And it is, apparently, good for you. In Scandinavia, this is not considered dangerous. It is not a form of neglect. It is a health practice, a nap ritual, a winter custom, a national identity. It's called Utila in Norway, and in Swedish, it has no special name, because it needs none. It is simply what is done. Ask a Scandinavian parents why they do it, and they'll say, babies sleep better in the cold. It builds immunity. They get fresh air. It's tradition. My mother did it to me. I do it to mine. You are not in danger. Your cheeks are rosy, your nose runs, a little, but your heart beats calmly beneath 7 layers of thermal logic. It began in the early 20th century. Around the time cities began to worrying about bad air, tuberculosis was a shadow behind every cough. The solution, fresh air. Lots of it, for adults, for school children, and especially for babies. Mothers would bundle up their infants and place them on balconies. Even in apartments for stories up, even in January. You nap in a cocoon of wool and oxygen. The stroller creaks slightly in the breeze. A crow caws once, then loses interest. Sometimes the temperature dips below freezing, sometimes well below. But if it drops too far, say, -15 degrees Celsius, your mother will come out. She put a hand to your forehead, check your little nose, maybe tuck in an extra blanket. And then leave you again. Sleeping outside, because that is where sleep belongs. Studies have shown that Scandinavian babies who nap outdoors tend to sleep longer and deeper. Some say it reduces colds. Others say it promotes independence. No one says it's strange, except the tourists. They see a baby stroller alone in the snow and call the police. And the police ask if the baby was sleeping well. You do not cry. Not here. Crying fogs the inside of the blanket. You drift instead. Between frost and wool, between wind and heartbeat, between the deep, ancestral belief that this is how one becomes strong. At some point, your mother will bring you in, unwrap you slowly, your hair slightly damp from warmth against cold, your eyes blinking as if from a dream deeper than sleep, and she will smile and say, a good nap, fresh air is best. You'll thank me one day, and maybe you will, or maybe you'll move somewhere warm and raise your own baby indoors. But when you close your eyes, on certain days, in certain silences, you'll remember the way the sky sounded when it snowed directly onto your stroller, the way the cold kissed you like a parent, firm but fair, and you will sleep again, knowing that, once upon a time, you faced winter as your first lullaby, and survived it peacefully. Because in Scandinavia, even sleep wears mittens. You are a baby again, soft, pink, slightly confused. You've just entered the world, and already a finger is smudging ash across your forehead. No, it's not dirt. It's not a mistake. It's not decorative. It's protection. You were born in the Balkans, somewhere between the hills of Serbia, the stone villages of Montenegro, or the sun-cracked rooftops of rural North Macedonia, maybe Albania, maybe Kosovo. No matter the exact border, the wind is the same. So is the fear. You were beautiful, too. Beautiful. And that is a problem. Because here, beauty attracts eyes, and not all eyes are kind. Some see and admire, others see and envy. And envy, in these parts, is not just a feeling. It's a force. It's called Uruk, or sometimes Malda Ojo in the south, or the evil eye, whatever the name. It's old. Older than prayer. Older than soap. And your grandmother is not taking chances. You lie swaddled in a blanket hand woven by someone with a crooked back and strong opinions. The room smells of garlic, wool, and superstition. There's a candle burning near a scent you can't yet identify. And above your head, someone is whispering something in a dialect even Google would refuse to translate. Then comes the ash, or soot, or, in more modern times, coal with black eyeliner. But not for style, a small dot on your forehead, sometimes two. Sometimes a smudge behind the ear, a mark to say, this child is nothing special. No need to look to long, move, along, spirits, because here, compliments are dangerous. Even a simple, what a cute baby might invite trouble. So instead, they say, "Ah, so ugly, poor thing, what a little pig," and then they smile. Loving smiles, but carefully phrased. It's a game. Between pride and fear, between joy and caution. You lie there, your tiny forehead marked like a warrior going into battle. Only your battle is with invisible glances. No one explains it to you, of course. You absorb it through lullabies, through the garlic tied near your crib, through the tiny red thread looped around your wrist. Sometimes, you are spit on, just lightly. A mother might kiss you, then make a tfoo-tfoo sound, as if spitting air around your face. This is not an insult. It's the equivalent of antivirus software. Version 14th century. In some villages, they hold you up to a mirror after birth, just to check your reflection. If you don't look back right, if something feels off, they say prayers, light incense, salt the corners of the house, because the evil eye doesn't knock, it drifts. And babies are soft, new, unarmored, are its favorite playground. You grow with these protections. They change as you change. When you start crawling, your grandmother sews a small blue bead into your shirt. When you take your first step, someone murmurs "God forbid" under their breath. When you laugh too loudly, the room falls briefly silent, just in case. They love you here, but they love you nervously, as if the universe is listening. And easily offended, you don't mind. The mark on your head fades eventually, the thread on your wrist unravels. The garlic goes dry, but something lingers, a whisper, maybe, in your bones, a sense that joy must always be balanced, that beauty must always be masked, that being seen is never neutral. And so you sleep, safe, in a house that believes in shadows, with women who remember stories, and rules that were never written, but never forgotten. Outside, a neighbor passes and says, "Ugly baby." Inside, your mother smiles, and whispers to you, "You are perfect." But no one needs to know that just yet. And you drift into dreams, marked, loved, protected. Not from monsters, but from admiration. Because in the Balkans, sometimes love means pretending not to. You are a baby, but in the Amazon, that's a flexible concept. Time is soft here. The river decides how old you are. And the trees don't keep calendars. You've just been born into a tribe that does not need clocks. They measure life in rains, in fish migrations, in how long the fire takes to catch in the morning. You are not placed in a crib. There are no cribs. You are carried, always, slung against a back with cloth made of bark. Pressed to your mother's breast before you even open your eyes. Not on a schedule, not with measuring bottles. You drink when you want, or when you whimper, or when someone near you feels you might be a little too quiet. And that someone might not be your mother. Here, in many Amazonian tribes, like the Tupi, the Kayapo, the Matsis, breastfeeding is communal. If your mother is away, another woman feeds you. If your mother is tired, her sister takes over, sometimes a grandmother, sometimes a man. Yes. Because here, in some parts of the jungle, men pretend to nurse. They offer their chest. Not for milk, they have none, but for comfort, warmth, familiarity. A nipple is not only about nutrition, it is about place. You suckle, even if nothing comes, and they smile, because you are calm. And that is enough. The Western world might panic at this, write articles, call experts, debate on talk shows. But here, no one panics. Because survival isn't theoretical. It's everyday. Mosquitoes bite, snakes crawl. Rain never asks permission, and so, a child is fed by whoever is there. This extends beyond infancy. You might still be nursing at age 4, maybe 5, maybe 6. You'll run around barefoot, face painted with red fruit, and when you're tired, you return to the lap, pull aside the cloth, and drink. No one tells you to stop. There is no weaning chart. You stop when you are ready. When the jungle stops feeling so big, when food grows easy to chew, when you no longer need your lips to say, I belong here. Sometimes children nurse while their mothers cook, sometimes while she sings, sometimes while she scolds her brother with the other hand. Feeding is not a ceremony. It is background, natural as rain on a leaf. In some tribes, fathers simulate breastfeeding to calm crying babies. They press the child to their chest and rock, humming low. The child suckles, no milk comes, but peace does. You sleep pressed to skin that smells of smoke, cassava, and old sweat. Your world is heartbeat and movement. No nursery, no toys, just wind and wet earth, and the knowledge that someone's chest is always nearby. Anthropologists have tried to explain this. They call it allopranting, non-exclusive lactation, extended breastfeeding, but the tribe just shrugs. They don't give it names. They just say, the child was hungry, I had time. There are no taboos here. Only what works. You grow, your teeth come in. You start eating mashed fish, roasted roots, but sometimes, just before sleep, you return to the breast, just to remember, just to feel. Not alone. And when you finally stop, no one notices. You don't announce it. It fades like the sound of paddling after the canoe turns the bend, and, still, you carry it. That memory of skin, of being accepted, not just by one person, but by many, because in the Amazon, to feed a baby is not a mother's duty. It is a community's promise, and you, small jungle creature, are a promise kept. You are a baby, again, but this time you are French, not baguette and brie French. Not Parisian Fashion Week French, no, you are 18th century French. A time of powdered wigs, plague letters, and powdered bottoms. You were born somewhere in the countryside, or maybe in Paris, to a woman who wears corsets and speaks too softly for you to remember. She holds you for a moment, you blink, she blinks, then she hands you off. Not to your father. He's busy discussing politics in a wig. Not to your grandmother. She's dead, or very superstitious. She hands you to someone else entirely. A woman with calloused hands, thick ankles, and a large basket. You've just met your wet nurse, and she is your new world. Because in 18th century France, it was normal, expected, even for upper-class families, and many working-class ones, to send their newborns away for months, sometimes years, to be breastfed. Elsewhere. Statistically, by 1780, more than 80% of babies born in Paris were sent out to the countryside within their first few weeks. They were shipped like loaves of bread, by carriage or cart, or wrapped in blankets and strapped to a mule. You might be one of them. You don't cry much, because the journey is long, and the basket is dark, and the woman carrying you sings in a dialect no one in your family speaks. When you arrive, you are placed in a cradle near the stove, or in a stable, or in poorer homes, beside the cow. Yes, because if the wet nurse has no milk, or too many babies, or is simply tired, the cow steps in. You drink milk from a rag, soaked in fresh cow's milk, rolled tightly, and placed into your mouth like a warm, wet cigar. Some infants were even fed directly from the udder. The word for this, laitire, drawn milk, unfiltered, unquestioned. You grow slowly, not from the arms of your mother, but from the arms of whoever is strong enough to carry you between chores. Sometimes you are one of 3 or 4 infants in the same house. A kind of milk commune, a rotation of suckling, sleeping, and being swaddled tightly with cloth that smells faintly of lard and goats. Meanwhile, your mother returns to her life. She hosts salons. She visits market squares. She writes letters complaining about the price of ribbon. She does not forget you. But she does not raise you, because mothering, in her world, is not a full-time profession. It is a biological contribution, followed by delegation. Some children are sent only a few miles away. Others, over 100 kilometers. Communication is slow. There are no baby monitors. Only letters that say, he's eating, he's quiet, he survived the fever, and when. If you return home at age 2 or 3, you will not recognize your parents. They will kiss you like strangers. You will cry. They will tell you to behave. This was normal. Some wet nurses were kind. Some were not. Some saw your face and saw money. Some saw it and saw their own lost child. And in the cracks of all that, you lived. France, in those years, was obsessed with the idea of childhood, but less committed to the presence of children. Philosophers like Rousseau would later argue against this system. In his famous book Émile, he pleaded for natural mothering, but most mothers were unmoved. They had wigs to powder. And you, little one, had cow's milk to drink. You do not remember these days, but your bones do. They remember the rag, the breath of the animal beside you, the voice of a woman who wasn't your mother, but held you, like she could have been. And when you are finally back home, wearing clothes too nice to touch, and being told not to cry so loudly, you will sometimes look at the barn and miss something, even if you don't know what, because love, when rented, never fully returns, and you were once breastfed by someone who didn't know your name. You are a baby again, but now the sky above you is not a ceiling. It is the unbroken dome of the steppe. There are no walls, no fences, just wind and animals. And your mother's voice, calling you from somewhere between a yacht and the horizon. You have just been born in Mongolia. The year, maybe 1322, maybe 1922, maybe last Tuesday. It doesn't matter, because time here is circular. And so is your cradle. You are not placed in a crib. You were placed in a bag, a swaddling sack called a nuj, made of wool, sometimes fur, sometimes lined with soft felt. You are not simply wrapped. You are lashed, arms pinned tight, legs extended and bound with care. The cords cross over your chest, like an ancient warning. Stay still. Grow strong. Don't die. You lie inside this soft prison like a tiny ancestor. And they hang you from a wooden beam or the edge of the yacht center pole. You swing gently in the air like meat or truth or something too sacred to touch the ground. The purpose is not punishment. It is order. Mongolian herding life is fast, harsh, and deeply rooted in the movements of animals. A mother must cook, herd, milk, stitch, saddle, and negotiate with the wind, all before sunset. She does not have time to chase you. So you are tired. Babies in the steppe are expected to learn one thing early: silence. If you cry too much, you might attract something, not a neighbor, but a spirit. The steppe is full of them, invisible, curious, not always kind. So your mother ties a black thread around your wrist, or a coin to your shirt. She smears soot above your eyebrows. Anything to say, this one is not worth stealing, not yet. The milk you drink is not hers, always. Sometimes it is kormog, fermented camel milk, or goat's milk, warm and sharp, sometimes mixed with herbs. Or horse milk, yes, horse milk, they call it erag. It smells like thunderstorms and old laughter. It makes your belly gurgle. It makes you strong. When your father returns from riding, he touches your forehead first, then your nose, then blows on your crown, a sign to clear away the bad spirits from the road. You are sung to, but not softly. Mongolian lullabies are not whispers, they are throaty, long, powerful chants. Sometimes they sound like morning, sometimes like wind through bone. They say it teaches the baby how to breathe through the storm. When you soil yourself, your mother changes the morse or wool padding tucked beneath you. No diapers, no wipes, just instinct, routine, and the unbroken logic of survival. Sometimes they take you outside, unwrap you entirely, and hold you up to the wind. Let him feel it, your grandfather says. Let the steppe see who's come. You squint, you blink. The wind is sharp, but honest. You are wrapped again. You sleep swaying in your sack. The walls of the yacht breathe with the weather. The smoke hole above you is your first clock. At night, dogs bark far away. The fire crackles, and someone outside sings to the horses. You are safe. Not because you are soft, but because you are contained, unwatched, and because your family believes that spirits prefer movement, and you do not move. You are quiet, bound, fed, scented like goat and felt and human faith. And one day, when you are unwrapped, weeks later, your arms will twitch in the air like they forgot what freedom feels like. But your eyes will already know wind, because here in Mongolia, you don't grow up in a house. You grow up in the sky. And the first thing you learn is stillness. You are a baby again. But now you are in Italy. Not the Italy of espresso shots and Vespa scooters. Not yet. You are in a village. Maybe in the heel of the boot. Maybe in the hills of Calabria, where the sun never really sets. It just leans on the stone walls and stays. You've just been born into a household with garlic on the windowsill, scents on every surface, and an aunt named Maria who insists she can smell evil. She's not wrong, because in this world, your world a being born is not a clean beginning. It's an invitation. An invitation for blessings, for glances, for hands. So many hands. You passed from one cousin to another, from no not a neighbor, from priest to stranger in the bakery. They all want to see you. But more than that, they want to touch you, to kiss you, to press their lips to your feet, especially your feet, because in the southern Italian folk tradition, the foot is sacred. They say it's where life enters, where spirit settles, where curses hide, and blessings stick. So your tiny feet, the ones you barely notice, become your most powerful feature. You are held, but not cradled. You are lifted, as if on display, and someone, always someone, lowers their face, closes their eyes, and kisses your soul, sometimes once, sometimes 3 times. Always with a mutter, Sieci dieti benedica, that God may bless you. Sometimes they kiss both feet, then your forehead, then cross themselves like they've just finished mass. You don't cry, you don't laugh, you absorb. The house is full of noise, not chaos, ritual. Women argue over how tightly you should be wrapped. Someone is boiling herbs in the kitchen just in case. Your great uncle holds garlic in one hand and a coin in the other, trying to decide which protects better. On the door, someone has hung a corno, a red horn-shaped amulet, to ward off the malocchio, the evil eye, because here, like in the Balkans, envy is not abstract, it's airborne, and your cuteness is dangerous. So they make you uglier, with charcoal, with words. This one's feet are too big. Look at those frog legs, like a tiny old man. And then they kiss your feet, again, gently, almost guiltily, as if apologizing to God for lying. You were fed warm milk with a silver spoon, not because it's fancy, but because silver remembers purity. You were bathed in chamomile water, dried in sheets older than your parents' marriage, and always, those feet. They check them, rub them, warm them by the fire, because cold feet mean bad luck. Cold feet mean the spirit hasn't settled. Cold feet means someone forgot to kiss you today. Sometimes, your nonna dips her fingers in oil and draws a tiny cross on each heel, then mutters a prayer, then cries, not out of sadness. Just pressure. The world is too much, you are too small. And the only thing that seems real right now is this, a kiss. On a foot. And the hope that it reaches somewhere deeper. When you sleep, they wrap your feet in cloth. When you sneeze, they grab your feet. When the neighbor's child gets sick, they make you touch your foot to an onion. No one knows why, but it's always worked. Later, when you begin to walk, the first step you take is celebrated with laughter, wine, and, yes, more kisses. Because now you carry the world. And it began with the foot. You are a baby again, but this time, something's missing. You've been born in a quiet Tibetan village, high in the Himalayas. The air is thin, the light is gold and white at once. And silence, a presence, not an absence, around you. People, walk gently, no slamming doors, no loud voices. Because in Tibet, a newborn is not just a baby. It is a doorway. Your mother holds you softly, as if you're hollow. Your father doesn't speak. Your grandmother lights incense and walks slowly around the room, clockwise, because you, little blinking thing, are not all the way here. Your soul is still arriving. In Tibetan Buddhist belief, birth is not a moment, it is a process, one that takes days, sometimes weeks. Because the consciousness, or sem, doesn't always land perfectly, sometimes it hovers, watches, decides. So for now, you are treated with reverence, not like a person, not yet, like a guest. No one says your name. Because to name you is to trap the soul before it's ready, and that can make it flee, or shatter. So they wait. You are wrapped in fabric that smells of butter, barley, and juniper smoke. You are not kissed, you are sung to, low chants. Melodies that don't rhyme, sounds meant not for your ears, but for whatever might be hovering near your crown. A monk may come, not to bless you, but to negotiate. He will lean in close. Look at your forehead, your breath, the color of your lips. He may whisper to the soul, it's safe. Come in, this family is kind. He burns sage, ties a red thread around your wrist, draws a small symbol on your stomach with saffron water. And you, yawn. It is a good sign. Outside, a prayer wheel turns, a bell rings once, inside. No one claps. But your grandmother smiles, because the soul has begun to settle. The next few weeks are careful. You are not left alone. Even when you sleep, someone hums near you, even when you are quiet. Someone watches the shadow behind your head. Just in case, your name will be chosen by a lama, or a dream, or an astrological chart that no one questions. But for now, they call you simply the small one, or the one who came. Milk is offered in tiny doses, not because of your stomach, but because a sudden rush of nourishment might confuse the spirit. Make it suspicious. You are not rushed. You are invited. And slowly, you begin to smile. Blink. Grasp. Your mother holds you with more certainty. Your father sings to you in a voice he hasn't used since he was a boy. And the family begins to speak your name, softly at first, then with laughter. Because now, you are here. Fully. Not just a vessel, not just a maybe, but a soul that said, yes. And when you sleep now, they place a butter lamp at your side to guide you in dreams, to keep your light close, because in Tibet, a baby is not a blank page. It is a returning story. And every breath you take, every blink, is a sentence. You once began in another life. You are a baby again, but this time, no one kisses your feet. No one sings over your head. No one lights incense to call in your soul, because now you were born in Victorian England, London, 1857. Coal in the sky, horse dung on the streets, a baby, born every 40 seconds, and you are one of them. You arrive in a hospital, or, if you're unlucky, in a factory dormitory, or worse, in a workhouse ward. Your mother is pale, worn, already tired of being alive. She does not hold you for long, because soon she must return to being useful. Babies, here, are dangerous. They cost money. They cry at inconvenient hours. They interrupt schedules and reputations. You are wrapped in linen. Not warm, just white, just clean. Cleanliness is next to godliness. But no one tells you what God thinks of crying. Your cries are considered a problem, not a signal, not a need, not a prayer, just noise. And so, from the moment you are born, the world begins to train you to be quiet, to be still, to be ornamental. If you are upper class, you are handed to a nanny within the first day. She keeps you in the nursery. You are seen twice a day. Wants to be washed, wants to be observed. No one speaks to you in a silly voice. That would be undignified. You are fed goat's milk through a cloth nipple soaked in whiskey. You do not latch. You are expected to adapt. Your nanny wears gloves, even when bathing you. Especially when bathing you. Touch is suspicious. In poorer homes, things are different. Not softer, just dirtier. You might be breastfed. You might be soothed, but more often, you are left in a box beside the stove, covered in rags. Your mother goes back to scrubbing someone else's chamber pot. You are watched by your sister. She's 6 and already old. No one sings lullabies. There are no toys, only spoons, soot, and silence. The great Dr. John Clark, a respected physician of the era, once advised that babies should be seen, but not heard, preferably not seen, either, until age 3. Until then, you are little more than potential labor, potential marriage, potential mortality. Because in Victorian England, up to 1 in 5 babies die before their first birthday. In the slums of East London, it's closer to 1 in 3. But no one says this out loud. They say, he was weak, she didn't take, God wanted him early. So you are not given too much attention. Not too much love, not too much belief. To believe, to deeply is to invite pain, and the English above all are terrified of looking emotional. You sleep in a crib with stiff sheets and iron bars, sometimes with a belt tied to your ankle, so the nurse hears you if you move, but not cry, never cry. Crying is considered vulgar. You learn quickly. Quiet means survival. The nanny checks on you with a pocket watch, feeds you with a schedule, bathes you with disinfectants. When you smile, no one smiles back. When you reach, no one reaches in return. And when you finally say your first word, you're told to wait your turn, because in this world, children are not celebrated. They are endured. And you, little silent shadow, grow in the margins. You do not die, but you do not shine. You become what the system wants, contained, polished, presentable. And one day, when someone finally touches your hand without gloves, you'll flinch. Not because of pain, but because it is the first time it feels like you exist. You are a baby, one last time. But now, you are in Ukraine. Not the modern one with strollers and apartment blocks. This is older. The earth is dark and soft. The wind smells like wheat and wood smoke. The roof above you is made of thatch. The world around you is made of stories. You've been here a while now. You've survived the heat of the oven, the tightness of the swaddle. You are a few weeks old, maybe a few months, and now they begin to notice something. You're too quiet when the house is loud. You laugh at shadows. You stare into corners like someone is speaking to you, and the old women, the ones who've seen to many births and to few explanations, start to whisper. This one sees more than he should. They don't say it in fear. They say it in ritual. Because in this place, a baby is not just a body. A baby is a mystery wrapped in meat. A question that hasn't yet decided its answer. So they begin to protect you, not with medicine, not with prayers, but with stories. They tell each other you're nothing special, that your eyes are too small, that your cry is too thin, that you'll grow slow, that you'll be a heavy child, the kind who won't go far. And they smile when they say it, a smile made of defense, because beauty is dangerous here. Attention is dangerous. A bright baby draws spirits. Spirits that walk through doorways left half open. Spirits that love to steal anything warm and breathing. So they protect you with narrative. They say, he's simple, she won't be pretty, he won't speak soon. And then when no one's looking, your mother presses a kiss to your chest and weeps into your blanket. Your cradle is hung from the ceiling. It swings with the wind. A carved owl guards the frame. A red string has been stitched into your shirt, not for fashion, but for invisibility. In the pillow, poppy seeds. In the bath, crushed herbs and salt. On the window, an oil-smeared symbol. Or on explains. No one calls you by name until they're sure you've stayed. And when someone visits, they don't praise you. They scowl and say, "What an ugly child." Then, after a long pause, they reach out and stroke your foot with reverence. Sometimes, at night, your grandmother walks circles around you. She holds a candle. She murmurs words passed down through generations of women who lost children to fever, war, or worse. Not all the words make sense. Some are more breath than syllable. But they wrap around your cradle like invisible rope. You sleep. Not because you're tired, but because the stories around you have done their work. The spirits pass by your house. They glance in. They see nothing interesting. Just a pale child with a strange head, not worth the trouble. And they move on. Later, you'll grow strong, loud, beautiful, but they'll still call you the slow one, out of habit, out of love, out of caution, because here, in this land of wind and bread, and watching skies, the first act of love is not celebration. It is concealment. Your family lied for you. To the world, to the spirits, to each other. They buried your light in dust and said, "Don't touch this one. He's broken." And in doing so, they saved you. You will not remember this, but somewhere deep in your bones, in the scar between your breath and your name, you will carry the feeling of being disguised to survive. And you will tell stories, one day, even if you don't know why, because in this place, truth is a dangerous thing, and fiction is how babies stay alive.